The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah, go Cowboys! This is Mick Shots.
Streaming live on DallasCowboys.com and the official Dallas Cowboys app.
Now, here are Bill Jones, Everson Walls, and Mickey Spagnola.
And this is the second most wonderful time of the year. We're inside the SWBC podcast studio, and we're all in agreement, I think, that the holiday season is the most wonderful time of the year. But I think this is second best because we're in March, and free agency's about to start. And these teams are about to get assembled, and we got so much to talk about on this week's edition of Mick Shots.
Addiction.
Mickey?
It is an
It is an
addiction
addiction.
for somebody in here.
Don't you just love this time of the year?
No, I hate it.
Why?
No, you don't. No, you don't. You love those guys out there on the combine. You love watching the young studs.
I love this.
Young studs coming up trying to make a way.
I mean, in the next week or so, 2 weeks,
Right?
these teams are going to be put together. We had breaking news this morning. We've got a new quarterback for the New Orleans Saints.
Yes, we do.
Did they finally get it done? Or they're saying
Well,
they're
It
going
is.
to do it?
It said official.
It's official.
It said, yeah, this morning when I left, it said
Depends on who said it.
NFL Network. I believe
Okay.
it was.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's a good source.
Check it out.
All right, it says right now, Saints closing in on deal with Derek Carr.
there you go.
So that's not official.
Well,
closing
you know how
in.
they one story comes in.
That's why I don't like this
story
time of
comes in,
year.
got stars on both sides of the
You got to
label.
figure out who you believe.
Now, next Monday is going to be the day when all of this happens because that's
Yes.
when the negotiating period opens next month. So how are we going to do the show next week? I mean, we do the show right when the negotiating window opens,
Is that what time?
basically, I think.
Yeah, in
Yeah,
the
because
morning?
we miss everything.
It's like 11
No,
a.m.
we're going to
or
be
noon.
right on top of
This time.
Because all the reports are going to be coming out.
That's
you
right. Oh, man, this is going to be a great show next
Nothing
week.
official, but it's
Not that this show won't be a great show,
That's
too.
right.
But
Got a deadline tomorrow?
All right,
right.
I have
You have a
I have
deadline
something
tomorrow.
since it's this time of year. You know, we going back to last year. Who did you have your eye on in the combines? When you
He
said,
had Micah
when you
Parsons.
said
No, that was
kid
that was the year before.
is going to be the guy. That was the year before.
Micah Parsons.
that was 2 years ago.
I retired after that one.
Yeah,
I
you
got
can.
that
You
right.
can retire.
Right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, you
I
can.
had my eye on that offensive tackle from Tulsa, Tyler Smith. No,
There you
no,
go.
I'm kidding. I'm
Yeah.
Well, I mean, when you look at it,
It turns out I
he
should have
turned
had my eye on
He turned out
him.
to everybody shut the hell up about him. So
See?
yeah, was he your guy? Was he one of those guys?
No.
Who'd you have that?
I
I have to remember who
I'd
was
have
in
to
the
look
draft.
Come on.
I'd have
All
to
y'all
look at the
did
draft.
was the book. He's got this book. You got your stuff. You can't remember from last year?
I would have to look at the
I remember
draft.
better from 2010 than I
See,
do
and
from
that's
last
why.
year.
I need to talk to younger people.
So yeah, and all the younger people, nobody had Tyler Smith.
No, they did not.
Right?
They
So
not.
they did
Young or
all
old? Young
they did
or old?
all this studying for 3 months,
Mm-hmm.
right? And Tyler Smith probably never passed their lips.
He wasn't on anybody's, especially 16th on anybody's draft
And when
list.
we chose him, everyone said that was a mistake.
Yeah.
They really did. They didn't believe
That's
until.
why they're called so-called experts.
That's why
That's not what they call themselves.
that's why this is not the greatest time of year.
Well, if you're going with predictions, no, you're right. It is not the greatest time of the year. So who's that person? We had the guy from Georgia. Was that 2 years ago or last year?
That's
Well,
this year.
The big. That was this
Last
past
year, the
Last
first
year.
pick in the draft was from Georgia. That was
That's the big
Trayvon
man.
Walker.
That's big man,
defensive
right?
end. Went to Jacksonville.
And it might have been this year.
Yep.
So-
Jalen Carter had some issues.
And we'll see
Well,
what
could
happens
be,
there.
could be.
Yeah.
A little controversy, but
And I heard maybe not the sharpest.
well, that's probably why he's in trouble. I mean, hopefully it's because he's,
That's all part of this process is
Yeah.
trying to figure out who the sharpest is.
So when you look at him, if I'm not mistaken, I saw him doing cartwheels and flips. Did I see that?
Maybe.
I'm pretty sure I saw him do a cartwheel and,
then
a
make
backwards flip.
And then make a tackle.
No, no, he was just coming out for warm-ups. No, wow, that would be amazing.
He's pretty good.
He is, huh?
Yeah, as a defensive tackle. Mm-hmm. Now you got to understand, is he I think he's a 3-down guy, but is he a 3-down guy to take at the top of the draft?
It said number 1 overall.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Every it's not like the car story. No, this is legitimate. They said number 1 overall.
And because of the issue that he had, now he was going to be, it was just going to be the top 4 or 5 teams in the draft were really going to have to study him because he's going to be long gone. Now everybody's got to study him because who knows?
He might fall. He might slip
fall.
down.
That's right.
A la Lyle Collins, right? Lyle
That's
Collins.
right. That's
He
right.
had the troubles
That was,
with his baby.
but the difference on Collins was that it was so close to the draft when it happened that people
Everyone panicked.
Yeah, and teams didn't have time to do their research.
They couldn't vet
One
him.
thing on this is they have time now to figure it all out. So
Yeah.
we should
and
have a
talk
better
to
read.
him.
He ended up going free agent, right?
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
Cowboys signed him as a
That's
college
crazy.
free agent.
He'll never make up that money that he could have had. Correct.
Which, okay, you bring up Lyle Collins. Let's get to the news that the decisions that the Cowboys have to make here in the next 24 hours with
Franchise
deadline looming with the franchise tag. And, Mickey, give us an update on what they're thinking.
Well, I'm sure they're thinking that they would like to sign Tony Pollard to a multiple-year deal. But it sounded like after listening to Jerry on Friday from the Combine that if that doesn't get done, then they indeed will franchise him 1 year, $10.01 million guaranteed is the franchise tag to reserve his rights
For a running back.
for a running back. And then they're going to have to coordinate that with what they do with Ezekiel Elliott. And Jerry said if he had his druthers, both guys, they will resume just what they were doing this year with both guys, that he wants them back. Jerry talked about how he gets accused of hanging on to his stars too long. I think people forget he cut Troy Aikman. He cut Emmitt Smith. Now, he may have signed guys to an extension, maybe too late in their careers, but he did cut these guys.
He moved on from DeMarcus Ware.
Moved on from Ware. So, yeah, somehow he's got this reputation that he hangs on to. Moved on from Everson Walls.
I was like, hey, I'm drowning over here, Jerry. Come on, save me. Jerry started playing the horn. Hey, brother, good to see you go. You did well.
So, but anyway, I think those are, the things they've got to decide. And, Stephen made it sound like they would use the tag if they have to. And if it's not Tony Pollard, they, have other alternatives of what they could do. Although Jerry said, I got to decide how important this tight end is going to be in this offense. And
interesting.
Juxtapose that against what those young guys did and what they might be able to do to decide what market value is for Dalton Schultz.
That is to me, that's the most interesting story right now. I mean, to me, and speaking if I was an owner of the team, and I see what Pollard's going through right now, franchise. I mean, I'm just going to be quick about it. I wouldn't think too much on it. I'd franchise him. And speaking as a fan, though, it's hard for me to give up Ezekiel Elliott. It's hard for me to give Zeke up. Not just, sentimental value. He had value on this team, still has value in the way he was able to run the ball and help us move the chains.
And Jerry, by the way, emphasized that towards the end of the year, he was playing through an injury again. So he's not devaluing his talent like what he's capable of doing, but there likely needs to be adjustment on the base salary, which I think they could come to a equitable conclusion on that one, on both sides, right? To not have him with a $10.9 million base salary. See, everybody says he cost them $16 million. Well, third of that is basically the leftover signing bonus and restructure bonus that still needs to be accounted for. He's already paid him that. It's the 10.9 that they have to restructure.
Well, let me tell you what's going to happen, because this is the way the fans are and the media as well. Once Pollard starts making big money, then the criticism is going to be much more harsh on him.
And they draft a guy this year in the 4th or 5th round.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And now all of a sudden that guy's going to be
right.
Yeah.
They love us when we're not making any money. You know, we're that hard luck story. You know, we're that person who's fighting him from the bottom. He's trying to dig his way out. But once you start making the money, now all of a sudden you're bougie. You know, you're too good for us. Matter of fact, you're not good enough for us because of what we're paying you. So I'm looking forward to that change in attitude.
That changed the whole landscape of the NFL probably around, what would you say, 1990, when salaries became almost
Who was the first?
public.
Who was the one to kick it off? Like back in free agency with the baseballs, Messersmith or somebody like that. Who would you say kicked it off? What salary?
Andy Messersmith.
I know, right? I pulled one out my butt on that one.
Thought he was going to go to Kurt Flood or something.
Well, I mean, come on, that's who started it. But Messersmith ended up capitalizing off of it.
But when NFL salary started almost becoming public knowledge, I think that changed how people looked at players, because now it wasn't how much you make, it's how well are you playing for how much you make.
I do recall, when they put it in USA Today, but they already knew about the salaries. But Gary Myers put it in USA Today, and I supplied them with the salaries, because as a union rep, what you had was teams and players were being dishonest about what they were making. Mm-hmm. If I'm one of Tex Schramm's guys, Tex and I are gonna agree that I'm not making as much as everyone says I'm making. Oh, I'm making $100,000 less than that, but they were in cahoots, and it damaged the relationship with future teammates, because now you find out that he's making more when you were negotiating him making less, so that you can be right there with him.
So it probably started then here.
That was around 89.
How about 86 when they signed Herschel to basically...
There's always that one moment that kicked everything off.
What was it? He got 100,000? That sounds silly right now, right? That's why I checked myself.
Right.
Was it $1 million? No, it was 100,000, right? And they asked Tony Dorsett what he thought about it, and Tony Dorsett promptly said, "I feel like a $100,000 man. Mm-hmm. Like if he's getting that, that's what I deserve too."
Yeah, but that's not what he got.
Yeah,
it was just a sign to come, things to come.
So, but yeah, you're right. It's not how much you make; it's how well you play with how much you make. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's certainly started that. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Tomorrow's the deadline on the franchise tender, and like I said, and then if they happen to get something done in time with Pollard, then you could use it elsewhere. Although it's pretty expensive to use it on a safety, $14 million. I don't think the Cowboys have spent that much on a safety. Yeah, Donovan Wilson.
So the toughest sign you think would be Wilson versus Schultz? Because what you just talked about with those tight ends,
Schultz is going to be about the same price on a one-year deal now.
Yeah, but because he's got a 20% increase over last year because he was the franchise player.
But I think what makes it more titillating is you've got two other guys at his position,
right,
that are extremely valuable to the Cowboys.
And Jerry talks extensively about, okay, you can't have everybody. Mm-hmm. Now, what do I have with young guys that we have to count on stepping up, somebody to move in? I guess he could have used Tyler Smith on that after he struggled his rookie year, and then when he was forced to start the next year, when La'el Collins got hurt, he stepped up and played.
By the way, I hadn't seen this anywhere else, and just doing research while y'all are talking. This is the 30th anniversary of NFL free agency.
Wow.
1993 is when it started. They had the Plan B free agents prior to that from 1989 to 92.
But the salary cap didn't start till 94.
Okay.
So that's what changed everything. I think guys ended up, there was a form of free agency in 93,
that's
right?
Plan B.
Well, Plan B actually was
No, that started in
89 to
89.
92.
Because that's how Novacek got here.
and Rob Awalt were the big Plan B free agent signings.
That's
two
about
tight
the best
ends.
thing happened with Plan B. Otherwise, I thought it sucked.
Well, I think they also
So
signed-
93 when free agency, or 94, I mean, you just missed it.
Once again, I came along too soon. Pat Summerall, we all came around too soon. Well, yeah, James Washington, Plan B, if I remember correctly. I think they brought in like 20 guys that year when Plan B started.
And back then, you could protect a certain number of players.
30-some, I think.
37
6,
or
7,
so,
yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
And then the others were subject to.
Which also caused problems because feelings got hurt, right? Oh, you didn't think I was good enough to protect, and then no one picked you up, and you're
it's
okay,
like,
glad to be here.
It's always watch what you wish for.
Right?
You just might get it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the landmark, and when you talk about sports contracts, the landmark milestone contract was Kirby Puckett's in about 1989, 1990.
Yes.
He was the first $3 million player.
Just climbing the wall, baby.
$3 million a year. That was
I'm
through
surprised
the
it wasn't a Yankee.
Yeah, that's true.
Usually it was.
Especially surprising, a Minnesota Twin would be the one.
Of all teams.
Yeah. All right, how about Terence Steele?
Yeah, and it's been reported that they will use the second-round tender on Terence Steele as a restricted free agent. That'll cost him $4.3 million on that one-year deal. But again, you can negotiate out of that, and still there's no restriction on signing those guys to a long-term deal. So you can always do that with the restricted guys. So we'll see what happens.
So are you surprised they went with the second-round tender
I
instead
thought
of a
that
first-round tender?
I thought that was, because I think
Would
somebody
I say
give
they
up-
went with it. It isn't official.
Yeah.
That
Would somebody give up a second-round pick to sign him to a long-term deal? Maybe. But again, he's coming off that ACL. And they can say, oh, he's ahead of schedule. How do you know? It's 2 months, right? Where are we at? March 6th? Mm-hmm. His surgery was mid-December, 2.5 months.
They're trying to get him back for the beginning of the season, correct?
That's what they're.
But
that's what
since
they're
he is
saying.
a free agent, a restricted free agent at that, a team
Yeah.
could bring him in and check him out and see how
If he is
how that
progressing
knee is
quickly,
doing.
right.
you
And
know.
some team with a gob of money.
And then, of course, the Cowboys would have the opportunity to match
match
whatever
it.
offer
Yeah.
he might receive out there. And if they let him go, then they get a second-round draft pick back for it.
And I figured out that, how about this? With Steele starting the first 13 games last year, the Cowboys at least averaged 4 yards a carry in each of those games, or in those games. 10 times, 10 of the 13, okay? In the final 4 regular season games, with him missing, they never averaged more than 3.8, and in the last 2 games, 2.7 and 2.4. And that continued in the playoffs. So I don't know if this is coincidence or not, but in the playoffs, it was 3-7 against Tampa Bay and 3-5 in the loss to San Francisco. And they got to 3-5 against San Francisco thanks to Dak carrying the ball 4 times for 22 yards. So he averaged over 5 yards a carry. So they struggled to run the football when he wasn't in there. You started, but you had Tyron Smith. Okay, well, Tyron Smith hadn't done anything for, 13 weeks, and playing a position he hadn't played since 2012. The other thing that I think people forgot during that stretch when they struggled to run the football, they lost Biadasz in Game 16 and didn't play in Game 17, and that meant they had to start with the line shuffle, right? McGovern goes to center, Tyler Smith to guard, Jason Peters at 40 years old is now playing full-time at tackle. until Biotis returned for the playoff
And
game.
Peters was like, thank God, because my hip is killing me.
Yeah. So anyway, Tyler Smith, I thought, was pretty darn. Terence Steele was pretty darn important to what they did. And so, this perception out there that they didn't run the ball, or to me, I went back and looked, you guys. And I know it's 17 games, okay? They ran the ball 531 times. You got to go back to 1994 to find the last time they ran more in a single season. And even if you take away the 27 carries in the 17th game, they're at 504. And there's only been 4 other times since 94 that they ran the ball more than 500 times in a season. So
that's kind of surprising.
So all this talk about, well, now we're going to change or we're going to run more. No, you better run more effectively, right? That's the problem. You can run 30, 35 times a game, but if you're only averaging 3.5 carries a game, it doesn't seem like you're getting anywhere. So to me, this whole talk about, McCarthy wants to run the ball more, Kellen Moore all he wanted to do was throw, was misleading because they ran the ball more than they had since McCarthy got here.
If you try to put it together and maybe look at some different scenarios on why they ran so much, could Dak's interceptions be a factor? Let's say he wouldn't have thrown so many interceptions, then we'd have more success with our passing game, therefore run the ball less. So do you think it was because we had to tone it down during the game, like we're killing them with the pass, all of a sudden Dak throws an interception, like okay, we need to back up a little bit. Right. I wonder if that had anything to do with those numbers because his interceptions were unusual in the amount.
Right.
Yeah. So did we react? Was that a reaction to those untimely turnovers? I think it's something we could look at.
I don't have an answer for that.
That's a tough one. It's a tough one.
All right, it's time for a break.
Okay.
I got a trivia question for you.
All
With
right.
the franchise tag deadline day looming on Tuesday, who was the first player that the Cowboys used the franchise tag on? When Mick Shots continues in a moment.
The Medal of Honor is our country's highest military award for valor in combat. More than 40 million individuals have served in the armed forces since the Civil War. Fewer than 4,000 have received the Medal of Honor. The National Medal of Honor Museum will be a place to preserve these legacies and inspire America. It's being built right next door to the Dallas Cowboys in Texas. Help us honor our country's greatest heroes. Learn more and get involved at mohmuseum.org.
We paid how much for those lessons?
Shh, she's doing great.
Oh, yeah, totally. Can you pass me a Pepsi Zero Sugar? Great job, honey! Oh, look at that. That's not the end.
No way. Now it's time for the encore.
You know what? You're right. 5 times? Not enough times.
For everyone who traded in rock concerts for their kids' recitals, you've compromised enough. Pepsi Zero Sugar. That's what I like.
Nobody protects you from mayhem like Allstate. You hear that? I'm a torrential downpour. Torrential? What's that even mean? It means you can't see out of your windshield. And if you have the wrong car insurance, you might have to make it rain to fix your bumper. So switch to Allstate, save money, and be better protected from mayhem, like me.
Based on coverage and limits selected. Subject to terms, conditions, and availability. In most states, prices vary based on how you buy. Allstate Bar and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
What do you call a group of grown men and women with their faces painted silver and blue who get together every week to share a 3-hour-long ritual of jumping, singing, and toasting Miller Lite in 10-gallon hats while yelling, "How about them Cowboys?" You call it Miller Time in Dallas. Here's to the Cowboys. Here's to the original light beer. It's Miller Time. Celebrate responsibly. 2021 Miller Brewing Company, Fort Worth, Texas.
Back to Mick Shots.
K-Post Roofing and Waterproofing, proud partner of the Dallas Cowboys. From corporate homes to your home. Have your roof checked by choice, not by chance. Call now, 214-225-4860, or go to kpostcompany.com.
I wake up dreams thinking about this commercial and reading.
Do you need a new roof?
Yeah, I got the number in my head. Like, okay.
We lost 3 shingles off our roof when the wind came through
Time
last
to go,
week.
baby.
Does that
Time
mean,
to call
does that
them.
mean anything? Do
Time
I need
to
to have
call
a
them.
roofer
You
come out?
check it. Better check it.
Better
You know
come
what?
on out.
All I could think of was our guy upstairs, William. He had just put a new roof on his house, and the hail was supposed to come like 2 days later. I said, "Are you going to go up there with a huge umbrella?" Oh God! 1 year, I think I bought 3 roofs.
What?
What?
One roof to sell my house.
Oh.
When we moved.
Yeah.
Bought a new house from scratch, bought that roof, and then by the end of the year, we had hail damage and had to buy another roof.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
K-Post.
Okay.
Yeah. Where was K-Post when I needed him?
All right. I remembered I asked a trivia
Yes,
question.
you did.
Do you remember what the question was, Mickey?
The first franchise.
First time the Cowboys used the franchise tag was when, and who was it on?
He's stumped.
I want to say,
it's Mickey's
his.
phone.
It's
Breaking
his.
news
He
is
looked
coming
at
in.
it, and he didn't turn it off. It's not going to do it by itself.
It's one of 2 people. Anthony Spencer or Flozell Adams. Yes, no, maybe?
It would be one of those 2. Now, which one?
I'm trying to think of the years.
Well, Anthony Spencer was much later than Flozell Adams,
So then
I
it
think
was
I would
Flozell
go.
Adams.
2002, Flozell Adams. And how much was the franchise tag for an offensive tackle in 2002?
Now you got me on that one.
First of all, let's talk about how unique that name is.
Flozell.
I never even thought about it till today. I mean, I've heard it many times. But
great name.
Damn, Flozell.
Which, by the way, was a draft day controversy, too, by the way.
Why
when
is
the
that?
Cowboys took him in the 2nd round because supposedly he fell out of the 1st round because he was deaf in 1 year and he couldn't hear the play
And that
calls.
is not true.
Well, he didn't really have any problems getting to the Pro Bowl, right?
But did he?
I don't think he
admit to
played
it?
with a hearing aid.
Or getting to a second contract.
Yeah.
They couldn't hear him.
That was one of those things that came out this time of year,
Right.
okay?
All right, and it was $4.9 million for a tackle in
4.9.
2002. So 21 years ago, $4.9 million.
And now it's 20?
Something like that.
Yeah.
You got the numbers somewhere in your
Somewhere
legal
in
pad.
one of my illegal
All right,
pads.
breaking news. This just into the SWBC podcast studio. According to media reports, the Cowboys are exercising the franchise tag on Tony Pollard.
Yeah. See, they listen to me.
That's breaking on
They
Twitter right
just
now
heard me.
as we speak.
When
But
I
they don't
said
have
it, When I said it, then they said, you know what? Let's go listen to everything.
They don't have to turn it in until, 3 o'clock tomorrow?
That's right.
So that could be a negotiating ploy, too. How
There
about
you go.
that? All right. You didn't want our long-term deal with upfront money? Okay, you work every week for your paycheck now. See how
It's guaranteed, though.
Yeah. But you don't
Yes.
get it ahead of time.
You don't?
No.
No.
You get
It's
it
your
weekly,
salary.
just like you
It's
got
your
paid
salary.
weekly.
But it's guaranteed.
Yes.
It's guaranteed.
But what if I gave you $10 million today? By the 1st of January, what would that do in some sort of savings fund?
I'd say you were crazy because I'm not worth $10 million. I mean,
So
I
if
was
you're
playing,
Tony
I would've
Pollard, what contract would you agree to that's not that's a multi-year contract?
First of all, he knows he's coming from a weak position. I truly believe that. Will that humble him? I don't know. But
Or you bet on yourself because you're coming from that weak position and say, okay, let me reestablish myself and make $11 million.
and that's frustrating as a player.
Right.
Because you can be frustrated all you want. The team is still going to say, what do you expect, man? You're coming off an injury. And he knows that's what they're thinking.
All right. So is there a way to do a contract, because you got the Zeke situation there, to do a contract that guarantees him $10.1 million this year?
You give it a signing bonus.
But he becomes a free agent next year.
Unrestricted
Free agent next year. Like you do a 2-year deal and you give him a signing bonus to relieve the impact on the cap. See what I'm saying? But he's still allowed to reach free agency next year. But the benefit for the team right now is he doesn't count $10 million this year. Instead, you spread that over 2 years. Okay, so let's say $5 million this year,
and
$5
make
million
the
next
second
year.
Voidable.
Yeah, right. On the start of the league year next year.
I think you probably
that would
could
be
do
with
that.
so that would be the team betting on him, as opposed to him betting on himself.
And what that does for Pollard is it gives him.
But you got to have a base salary.
He has a base salary, and so I say roughly $5 million each year, whatever. The base salary is the minimum. So you're giving him the signing bonus, $10 million, which he gets now. Okay, and he still can. There's a voidable second year, right? And so it's spread over 2 years. So the length of the contract is 2 years, or you can spread it over 3 years or whatever, and you just make it voidable March 15th next year.
Yeah, there's probably some sort of rule on.
Say that sounds too
voidable
easy, huh,
years. Yeah.
Okay, let's just say, but let's keep it simple. Let's keep it simple, and you're basically cutting that $10 million in half, where you're spreading over 2 years.
I know what you're saying.
And he gets the benefit for Pollard is he gets the money up front. And he becomes a free agent next year, so that doesn't change, whatever. Is there any value from both sides on doing that?
And that's only when you realize that he has been franchise tagged, because otherwise he wants a long term.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So what you would do is continue negotiating after you tag him.
Right.
Make sure he doesn't get out there in free agency, and then you can work on something. But yeah, whatever
they'd have to trust each other.
Whatever you do, he's got to make $11 million this year guaranteed. Right. And even if you did a 3-year deal, and you said, okay, but your signing bonus is $11 million.
That's a bill.
Yeah, but I was saying do it over 3 years and then give them reasonable base salaries in the next 2 years.
And it doesn't take away his ability to become a free agent next year.
Right.
So, that seems like a way that you can lessen the impact on the salary cap this year, which will allow
There may be some rule on how many years you have to sign somebody to get a voidable, but maybe you might be able to do that.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Bill.
All right, just doing the negotiating.
That fake law degree comes in handy.
That's right. That's why I graduated from law school in 1 month.
Got the hell out of there.
1 month.
All right, how about Terence Steele? What are you going to do on what about Terence Steele and how it let's say obviously they want to get a long-term or a multi-year deal with Terence Steele right now, right?
Right.
Would love to. So what would be a workable contract there from both sides?
Well, once again, somehow he's got to make $4.3 million this year.
Yep. So now
and you got to give him
that.
something up front. Mm-hmm. Now they've done this before with other guys, and I was thinking that they did it with a safety 1 year. Instead of him making $2 million over the tender, restricted tenure in 1 year, they gave him like 4 over 2. And spread it out where they gave him some signing bonus.
Because we played this game last week or 2 weeks ago, and
you didn't like my idea.
Which was?
Did I say it was for Steele?
Yes, for Steele.
Like sign him to a 3-year deal
for $12 million or something ridiculous.
Like that, and give him $6 million up front. Yeah, and then spread it out over.
Keep in mind, Lyle Collins. Last year, it was reported as a 3-year, $30 million deal with Cincinnati. It was really 2 years, $20 million. Okay. So that was the going rate last year for a right tackle. Mm-hmm. So $10 million a year. So would you do 2 years, $20 million
would some other team? Would some other team do that?
Or they would probably. I think the Cowboys would
for a second
quickly
round
match 2 years, $20 million.
Yeah.
But would another team go 3 years, $45 million?
Not coming off an ACL.
Yep.
That always complicates things. And that's exactly why players don't like playing the final year of their contract without anything guaranteed going forward. That's why they want to negotiate, and that's what's going to happen with C.D. Lamb, right? Well, they'll pick up his fifth year, right? So that will be next year's problem. But Trayvon Diggs is going again to the final year of his contract.
And I don't like going into it either. I wouldn't at this stage, because once that contract is up, first of all, it's very tense between management and player when you're in that last year of your contract. I just don't like that kind of drama around the locker room. If you can get rid of that right away, then get rid of it. You did it with Romo. You did it with Troy. You did it with so many different players that you feel comfortable with, that you know are going to be your guys. And if you let that go out into the last year, then you look at the Lamar Jackson thing to where now I'm feeling unappreciated. And now the pressure is on because everyone knows I feel unappreciated, and management is ducking from answering questions. I'm sitting up here with I'm pouting because my lips dragging the ground because I don't have my money.
So if you think about it, it happened to how many guys this year? It happened to Steele, got hurt, final year of his contract. Happened to Pollard, got hurt, final year of his contract. Happened to Anthony Brown, got hurt, final year of his contract. Happened to Donovan Wilson, although he didn't finally.
Wasn't the same extent.
It wasn't he played through. I mean, that was the most games he started in a single season.
Yeah.
But it could have, and then look what happens. The last thing you want to do is be unrestricted free agent coming off an injury.
That's it, man.
Because you've got no. It's like trying to sell a house when they're repairing something, right? And it's like you got a for sale sign, and then you got a construction guy doing something for you.
Take it back a year ago, Michael Gallup.
And
Yes.
Michael Gallup,
There you
same
go.
thing.
Then he got a contract here.
Yeah. And so that's why.
Everybody's mad at him.
That's why.
Now Cooper's gone.
Yeah, right. Well, Jerry talked about that for 5 minutes at least, and
everybody's still pissed off.
But no one asked him the question. It was if
He
you
knows
go back
what they're
and listen.
thinking, Spags.
He said, "Yeah, I heard Stephen answer that question." He goes, and I don't have to speak for Stephen. He goes, but I think
I think I am.
It created some things that just weren't accurate, so I thought I'd clear those up without you asking me.
Did he clear it up?
Yeah,
Oh.
because he made mention by doing that, then they save money for this year and next year, and you got to rely
To get
on
another wide receiver.
young guys to come through, CD
Come
Lamb,
on, man.
right?
You're still it's like the snake eating its own tail,
But he
Come
didn't.
on, man.
But he did not
Come
rule
on.
out. He did not rule out signing a prominent free agent if it fits right, and he would spend whatever that needed to
A free agent what?
to make it. He didn't say the position.
He better not.
What position? Okay, let's speculate.
He better not say the position.
Well,
what do we need?
Wide receiver.
Okay, come on, man.
Cornerback?
That's the tail right there.
Cornerback?
There it goes, right there.
Cornerback.
Okay.
Safety.
Right.
All right.
Break.
Right.
We continue.
Chris
with
is
more
worried
Mick
that we're
shots
getting
and all
to a
that.
territory that's
He's
tenuous.
like, nope, break.
We paid how much for those lessons?
Shh, she's doing great.
Oh, yeah, totally. Can you pass me a Pepsi Zero Sugar? Great job, honey! Oh, look at that. That's not the end.
No way. Now it's time for the encore.
You know what? You're right. 5 times? Not enough times.
For everyone who traded in rock concerts for their kids' recitals, you've compromised enough. Pepsi Zero Sugar. That's what I like.
Nobody protects you from mayhem like Allstate. You hear that? I'm a torrential downpour. Torrential? What's that even mean? It means you can't see out of your windshield. And if you have the wrong car insurance, you might have to make it rain to fix your bumper. So switch to Allstate, save money, and be better protected from mayhem, like me.
Based on coverage and limits selected, subject to terms, conditions, and availability. In most states, prices vary based on how you buy. Allstate Bar and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
The Medal of Honor is our country's highest military award for valor in combat. More than 40 million individuals have served in the armed forces since the Civil War. fewer than 4,000 have received the Medal of Honor. The National Medal of Honor Museum will be a place to preserve these legacies and inspire America. It's being built right next door to the Dallas Cowboys in Texas. Help us honor our country's greatest heroes. Learn more and get involved at mohmuseum.org.
The season is finally here. For months, we've been gearing up to win. Now it's time for the team that performs on any field, United Ag and Turf. With John Deere Zero Turns for mowing, compact tractors for loading, mini excavators for digging, Gator utility vehicles for hauling, implements for grading, hay tools for baling. United Ag and Turf, for winning. The official Ag and Turf equipment supplier of the Dallas Cowboys. Visit unitedagandturf.com for more.
Back to Mick Shots.
Registration is now open for the 2023 Dallas Cowboys Youth Football and Cheer Camps presented by Invisalign. Use promo code SPRINGBREAK23 for $25 off camp on March 14th or 15th at AT&T Stadium. Visit DallasCowboys.com/camps. I almost was going to say Campo.
You stumbled through that one, sir.
Campo.
Sorry about that.
That's the first time.
Okay, our last few minutes here of Mick Shots, and we had the breaking news earlier. The Cowboys are placing the franchise tag on Tony Pollard. Bijan Robinson had a pretty good combine weekend, it appeared. The Texas running back who won the Doak Walker Award.
4.46, I saw you.
That was what he ran.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's not bad
For a running back.
Yeah, I mean that's a true time. Yeah,
I think somebody else ran faster among the running backs.
I think so. But Daniel Jeremiah from the NFL Network has him ranked as his number 4 overall player in this draft, Bijan Robinson.
Not the number 4 running back.
Number 4 overall player.
That's saying a lot.
So,
the way they treat running backs these days.
Is that behind Carter?
I didn't look at this list,
okay.
But I just know he was number 4. So, to your point, all right, you're not supposed to draft running backs that high anymore, right? No way he makes it to 26, right?
I don't think so.
He said he gave him the same grade as Christian McCaffrey, who went number 8 to Carolina.
So he's that good of a receiver as a running back.
He is a good receiver. I thought Stephen Jones had an interesting comment on that early in the week, last week, when he was asked about drafting a running back in the first round. And he said, well, normally you have 18 to 20 first-round grades in a draft. And so by the time you get to 26, chances are, you're not going to have one there. So basically what he's saying, if you took a running back at 26, it's almost like taking a second-round guy, which you can qualify. But he, prior to that, said that your first-round picks, you would like them to play on their second contract. And he said a lot of times running backs don't last that long to play through 2 contracts.
Right. Which is unusual because they don't use them as much as they used to.
Right.
So you would think they'd have more longevity.
And so that, I'm sure that got everybody thinking, well, okay, but Zeke got his second contract and look at him. I still don't think he's fallen off. I think, number 1, he played through something, and number 2, the running game just broke down, meaning what was going on the offensive line. Now we'll see, because they've changed running back coach and they changed offensive line coaches. So, and who's setting up maybe the run scheme with McCarthy now kind of the offensive coordinator / play caller. So that goes back to what I was talking about earlier about it wasn't their inability to run the ball enough. They just didn't run it well enough. And that's what's got to improve somehow, some way.
Fastest running back was a man from Texas A&M.
Oh, that's right.
A-Chain.
4.32.
Wow. I like Everson's reaction when we say 40
Because I was so slow. Don't you wish that you just could be able to run that fast?
You know what? And I finally got to see him play in person because I went to the A&M LSU game. He's faster than that. I mean, just watching him in person, boy, when he gets to the edge or gets a crease, he's like a jet, just shot right out of a cannon. And even the quarterback from Florida ran well.
Yes, he did.
Richardson?
Yep, 4'4". And he's 6'4", 244 pounds.
I saw Vince Young.
I thought he was a little guy.
Every time I see him take
40
off,
and a half vertical and a 10-9
without the
broad
accuracy
jump, too.
in college.
Record setting.
So you think Bryce Young's going to get knocked down because he's only 5'10 and a half or 5'10 and a quarter?
I do. Yeah, it's a shame too.
He's awfully good.
Well, I mean, he's like you think of Drew Brees. Every time I see him, I think of Drew Brees.
How tall do you think the TCU? By the way, the TCU quarterback Max Duggan ran a 4.52.
No way.
Yes.
Seriously.
4.52.
I missed that one.
How tall do you think he is?
5'8".
No.
He looks very short.
6'1" and a half.
He's my height. Okay.
6'1" and a half. Yeah.
That's
His
doable.
backup was like 5'8".
That's doable. Yeah, you can go 6'1" and a half.
6'1"?
Like I said, Drew Brees did it, and he threw down the middle.
Well, Mahomes can't be much taller than 6'1", huh?
Mahomes is probably about 6'3".
Is he that tall?
He looks it.
Let me look him up. I'll look him up. You vamp, and I'll look him up.
I was.
We get the official number at the combine when he.
But again, with these guys, it depends on what offense you're going. Are you going to run an offense conducive to a quarterback that size?
It has to,
right? If you take them, right?
You have to. You have to change your offense.
6'2",
6'2" and 1/8, 225 pounds. That's the other part of it.
Much taller than that.
That's the other part of it is how much weight are you carrying?
Sturdy.
Yeah. That's right.
Well,
and that's what I like about Anthony Richardson, 244 pounds. I mean,
I didn't realize he was
the
that
kid
big.
from TCU. He's pretty stout for a 6-footer.
Well, what about Hurts? Hurts is.
Yeah, how tall do you think Hurts is?
I was going to say 6'1".
I was going to say 6 feet.
I think he's 6'1". He's 6'1", 223.
No, you can do it. Anytime over 6 feet, yeah, I think you're good.
You just got to make sure if you're taking the guy, then you got to adjust to.
You have to adjust how you
don't
pass
say,
block. How
okay,
you
I'm
pass
taking
block.
this guy and I'm running Troy Aikman's offense.
Right.
Can't do it.
Okay. Producer Supreme just informed me, and I'm now looking at it, that what do you think Mahomes ran his 40 time at the combine?
4.6.
You said you got 4.6, you got 4.7, 4.8.
Yeah, he really.
He don't play 4.8.
You know
I
what, though?
haven't seen him catch. No one has caught him from behind.
They have
yet.
not.
Here's why you do the other drills. Guess what his 3-cone drill was?
I have no.
If you're under 7, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
Like for DeMarcus Ware was a 6.86 or something like that, and Mahomes was 6.88.
Wow.
That shows that little quickness, scrambling around the pocket. That's that is a sign of that right there.
Yeah,
6.88.
You don't want your quarterback running 40 yards.
But you do want him to be nifty in the pocket.
Right.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
Quick
right.
feet.
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
Let me see the feet.
Never thought about that.
Yep.
My great uncle told me when.
Here's a wide receiver for. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, my great aunt had really bad feet towards the end, and he told me when I go look for a wife, make sure she has good feet. So I was thinking about quarterbacks, make sure they have good feet.
Oh, your uncle has a foot fetish, huh?
No, he just didn't want to have to help somebody out like he had to help her walk at the on in age.
You want to end on that?
Well, I don't know. We could get into Michael Parsons.
Yes.
Jackson Smith and Jigba, wide receiver, Ohio State from Rockwall.
Yes.
Okay. He was injured this year, had a hamstring injury, missed most all of last season. I mean, he just went off at the Rose Bowl the year before, whatever. He's a guy to keep an eye on. His 3-cone, 6'5'7".
Wow.
Yeah. And he's put together.
I'm big.
Before we go, Bryce Young, 5'10". Kyler Murray, 5'10". Baker Mayfield, 6 feet. Russell Wilson, 5'11". Drew Brees, 6 feet. Pretty good quarterbacks.
Are
All
they?
of them short.
Except for the Oklahoma ones?
I know you're going to. I almost left him off the list just to rid us of smart-ass comments.
I was being negative towards Oklahoma.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. All right. That does it.
And with that.
Okay, you know what next week is? It's the start of NFL free agency. You have to listen.
The gossip will
11
begin.
a.m. next Monday. See you later.
Go Cowboys.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys?